I broke off my engagement after my fiancée asked for a break to revisit her ex. Instead of waiting around, I sold our house and disappeared. Hey everyone, after what feels like ages, I 27M figured it was time to share what's been happening in my life recently. Up until a short while ago, I thought I was about to marry the woman of my dreams, Tessa 26F. We had been together for 4 years, and I genuinely believed we were solid. Now I catch myself sitting here, wondering how I could have missed the warning signs. We met at a friend's birthday party. She was witty, confident, and had this blunt honesty about her that pulled me in. I'd dated before, but no one clicked with me the way she did. Things moved quickly. Within a year, we were living together. Life felt natural, like we were aligned on careers, marriage, and eventually a family. She freelanced as a graphic designer while I worked as a project manager in tech. Our work hours matched, and although our life wasn't flashy, it was comfortable. Marriage had always been on the table, but last year I finally popped the question. It wasn't some extravagant event, just a cozy dinner at home. She cried, hugged me, and said yes. That night we started painting a picture of our future together, a fall wedding, small guest list, a lakefront venue. Everything seemed to be falling into place. But then little cracks began to appear. They weren't huge at first, just tiny signs I brushed off. Tessa's excitement about wedding planning gradually fizzled. She used to spend hours sending me Pinterest boards, hunting for dresses, and debating flower choices. Then it all stopped. Whenever I'd ask, like whether she'd picked her bridesmaids yet, she'd shrug it off. "Not yet, I'm still thinking," she'd say. Same with the cake, the dress, the playlist. Every little thing she once obsessed over became something she wanted to push aside. "There's still plenty of time," she'd insist. It was as if the wedding was no longer important. I chalked it up to stress. Planning a wedding can be overwhelming, and she had work deadlines piling up. I told myself she'd bounce back eventually. What I didn't realize was that her lack of enthusiasm wasn't about the wedding. It was about us. The real wake-up call came one night when we were hanging out with friends. We played that silly TikTok-style question game. You know, the one where you answer personal questions without laughing or reacting. It was lighthearted until someone asked, if you could relive one relationship, which would it be? Without skipping a beat, Tessa blurted out, "Probably Dylan," her ex from college, the same guy who cheated on her. The room went silent. She tried to laugh it off, mumbling, "Not that I'd actually want to, it's just a big part of my past." But the damage was done. I didn't press it in front of everyone, but later that night, I asked her why she'd say that. She brushed me off. "It was just a dumb game, Liam, don't read too much into it," she said with a smile before changing the subject. I let it go on the surface, but inside it lingered. Soon after, her behavior became harder to ignore. She was glued to her phone more often, smiling at texts she wouldn't share with me. She began canceling plans last minute with vague excuses. "Sorry, I've got work to catch up on." Or, "I promised my mom I'd visit this weekend." Individually, none of these excuses were alarming, but they piled up. I felt myself slipping lower on her priority list. Then came the night that shattered everything. I got home early from work, looking forward to a cozy evening together. But as soon as I walked in, I sensed something was off. She was sitting on the couch with her laptop open, but clearly not working. She looked distant, lost. "Hey, I'm home," I said lightly. "You're early," she replied flatly, as if that were a bad thing. I tried to shake it off, went to the kitchen to start dinner, but the silence was unbearable. Usually she'd chatter about her day. Not tonight. Finally, I asked, "Is everything okay?" She closed her laptop, looked at me, and said, "Actually, there's something I need to tell you." My stomach dropped. I sat down across from her, bracing myself. "I've been thinking about us and about Dylan." I almost laughed at the absurdity. Dylan again. She bit her lip, avoiding eye contact. "I think I need some time, a break, to figure out if there's still something there with him." I stared at her in disbelief. "You want to put our engagement on hold to go test things with your ex? Are you serious, Tessa?" "It's not like that," she rushed. "I just need to know I'm making the right choice, and if it doesn't work out, I promise I'll come back." The audacity floored me. She expected me to sit around while she tried out her ex like a pair of old shoes, then return to me if it didn't fit. Something inside me shifted. I didn't yell, didn't beg. I just stared at her, realizing I'd been blind to who she really was. I asked calmly, "So this break, what exactly does that mean?" She seemed prepared, almost rehearsed. "I'll take time to see where my feelings for Dylan stand. You can use the time to reflect on us too," I laughed bitterly. "So you get to date your ex and I'm supposed to sit here and think about us? That's insane." She sighed, as if I were the unreasonable one. This isn't about you doing anything wrong, Liam. It's about me figuring out what I need. Her words made it clear she had already made up her mind. You realize how insane this sounds, right? I said quietly. You don't put your fiancé on pause to see if someone else treats you better, she stiffened. I'm not asking for permission, Liam. I'm telling you what I need. That line hit differently. I stood up, pacing the room, trying to keep calm. So what's the plan, Tessa? Pack a bag and run back to Dylan? No, she protested. It's not like that. I just need clarity before we move forward. I owe it to myself to be sure. You owe it to yourself? I snapped. What about what you owe me? We're engaged, Tessa. You don't get to test drive your ex while I sit around. I never said you weren't good enough, she shot back. But I'm not certain right now. And if we're going to spend forever together, I need to be. That was it. She wasn't just curious about Dylan. She was also unsure about me. After 4 years and everything we'd built, she still doubted. I finally saw the truth. She thought this was reasonable. She really believed I'd wait patiently while she figured out her feelings. I stopped pacing, looked her dead in the eye, and said flatly, Fine. Take your break. She blinked, caught off guard by how quickly I agreed. Liam, I'm not trying to hurt you. I just need space. Okay, I replied evenly. She hesitated, clearly expecting me to fight for her. When I didn't, she grabbed her laptop and muttered, I'll stay at my mom's for now. This isn't forever. We'll talk after I've had time. I stayed calm. All right. She lingered, maybe hoping for more reaction, then disappeared into the bedroom to pack a bag. Minutes later, the door shut behind her. She probably thought I'd be sitting there stewing, waiting for her return. She had no idea I had different plans. If she wanted a break, she was going to get one in ways she never expected. Update 1, thank you all for the advice and encouragement on my last post. A lot has gone down this past week. First off, I didn't sit around waiting. Many of you said I should take control, and you were absolutely right. I called up my best friend Noah. He's been like a brother since college and doesn't mince words. I told him everything, and we spent the night talking it through over pizza. Dude, he said, you realize she's gonna try to crawl back when Dylan disappoints her, right? He was right. That conversation lit a fire in me. I wasn't going to let her hold all the power. Step 1, the house. Tessa always treated it like ours, talking about the curtains she picked and the paint colors she loved. But the deed, it's in my name. I paid the mortgage, so Monday morning I called a realtor. The market's hot right now, and within days we already had multiple interested buyers. Tessa doesn't have a clue. She probably assumes I'm sitting in our home waiting on her. Step 2, clear her out of my life. All those live, laugh, love signs she insisted on. Gone. Fancy throw pillows she just had to have, donated. Her clothes and personal things she left behind. I boxed them up. But I didn't just drop them at her mom's or wait for her to collect them. I hired movers. Everything was delivered to her mom's doorstep with a short note. Here's your stuff. Good luck with Dylan. Some might say that's petty. I call it efficient. She wanted space. She's got all the space in the world now. The best part. Friends started asking questions. I didn't badmouth her. I didn't play the victim. I simply told the truth. Tessa decided she needed to revisit things with her ex before committing to marriage. I decided I deserve better than being a backup plan. You'll be surprised at how people react when you stick to facts instead of drama. No arguments, no accusations, just the truth. It's incredible how quickly the narrative shifts when you stop trying to force it. I've also been making career moves. I applied for a role at our West Coast branch, something I'd been considering for a while. With the house under contract and this new job opportunity on the horizon, I'm preparing to completely restart my life on the opposite side of the country. Meanwhile, Tessa has been blowing up my phone all week. It started with casual texts like, "Hope you're doing okay," then escalated to increasingly panicked messages once she realized I wasn't sitting around waiting for her. Yesterday, she wrote, "What are you doing? Why are you acting like it's over?" I kept it short. "Because it is over. You made your decision and now I'm making mine." She broke down, saying she only needed some space, that I was being rash, that this wasn't what she meant when she asked for a break. I asked her flat out, "Did you really expect me to sit here like a loyal dog while you tried things out with your ex?" She sobbed, "But what if I realize you're the one I want?" "Then you'll have learned a tough lesson about not taking people for granted," I told her before ending the call. Strangely, I wasn't angry anymore. I felt free. With every box I pack, with every step I take, I feel like I'm reclaiming pieces of myself I didn't even notice I had given away. My buddy Noah came over again to help me finish clearing out the house. He noticed the shift in me right away. "You seem different, more focused," he said, and he's right. When Tessa first dropped the bomb about Dylan, I thought my world had collapsed. But now I realize it wasn't my world that crumbled. It was the illusion I'd been living in finally falling apart. I've got more updates coming, but for now, I'll just leave you with this. Sometimes the best response to being treated like an option is to remove yourself from their list entirely. Update 2, thanks again for all the support. Things have escalated quickly since my last post, so here's where things stand now. Remember that West Coast job I applied for? I got it. Perfect timing, too. The house is set to close next month. But the real kicker is what I've heard through mutual friends. Tessa's rekindling with Dylan isn't exactly the love story she dreamed of. He's still the same unreliable guy who cheated on her back in college. Meanwhile, she's been posting vague, inspirational nonsense on social media about finding yourself and following your heart. I decided to play along, but in my own way. I posted one simple, factual update. Excited to share that I've accepted a new position in San Francisco. Sometimes when one door closes, a better one opens. Looking forward to the next chapter. The response was overwhelming. Congratulations, questions about the move, and naturally, curiosity about Tessa. I kept my answers honest and straightforward. We're not together anymore. She wanted to explore her options, so I'm exploring mine. That single post completely flipped the social dynamic. While Tessa was busy hiding behind cryptic quotes, I was just living my truth. And then came the professional fallout. Tessa's freelance work heavily relies on word-of-mouth referrals. Sarah, 29, a mutual contact in the tech world, reached out to me directly. Tessa's telling people you two are just taking a break, but something feels off. Over coffee, I showed her the message where Tessa admitted she wanted to try things with Dylan. Sarah's face said it all. She was done referring clients to Tessa. Within a week, several projects she had lined up either got delayed or canceled. Not because I trashed her, but because no one wants to rely on someone who treats serious commitments so casually. Tessa noticed the shift and panicked. Her texts turned frantic. Why are you telling people about Dylan? You're destroying my reputation. This isn't fair. I just needed space. I replied one last time. You asked for time and distance. What I do with mine isn't your concern anymore. Then Dylan himself posted a picture of them at the exact restaurant where Tessa and I had our very first date. It was obvious she was trying to recreate history, but this time with him. The photo was deleted soon after, but the damage was done. Our circle saw it, and whatever shred of support she had left vanished. Even her own sister reached out to me saying, I'm sorry she's putting you through this. You deserve better. And the best part? I didn't have to do anything but move forward with my life. The truth surfaced all on its own. Last week, Tessa showed up at my office, sobbing. Apparently, Dylan's mask had already slipped, flirting with other women, being shady, the same story as before. Through tears, she said, I made a terrible mistake. You were the best thing that ever happened to me. I looked her in the eye and said calmly, No, the best thing that ever happened to me was you showing me your true self before I married you. She begged to try counseling, promised to change, but I shook my head. You still don't get it. This isn't about Dylan. It's about you thinking you could keep me on standby while you looked for something better. That's not love, that's convenience. She left devastated, but I felt lighter than ever. With the house nearly closed and my move to San Francisco weeks away, my fresh start is just around the corner. Some people think I'm being too harsh, but here's the truth. This wasn't a one-time slip-up. It was a series of choices, every text to Dylan, every lie, every plan she made behind my back. She showed me exactly who she was. Final update, all right, this is the last chapter of the saga. And honestly, it ends better than I could have hoped. San Francisco has been everything I wanted. My new apartment overlooks the bay, the job is fantastic, and the people here are focused on growth instead of gossip. The house back home sold for over asking price, which was a nice bonus. Tessa didn't believe it until she drove by and saw strangers moving in. And get this, Dylan actually messaged me. He admitted that Tessa had been reaching out to him months before she ever brought up the break. She'd been laying the groundwork long before I knew. But the irony, Dylan dumped her too. His words, if she could do this to you, she could do it to me. Her career has taken a nosedive. Most of her referrals dried up, and one of her biggest clients even asked me if I knew a reliable designer since they didn't want to work with her anymore. I pointed them to someone far more deserving and they landed the contract instead. On social media, she spiraled. First came the sad breakup quotes, then the bitter posts about toxic people. Finally, the fake happy updates. The last one was about starting her own design firm. Just days later, she was sending out job applications. Her sister told me she's been living with their parents, clinging to the idea that I'd eventually forgive her. But when she realized I'd moved, sold the house, and built a new life, the fantasy finally crumbled. My own life here is thriving. I joined a rock climbing club, started taking Spanish lessons, and even adopted a rescue dog named Zeus, hands down a better companion than my ex. One last email from Tessa did land in my inbox. She asked for photos from our old shared cloud storage. I'd already backed up what I wanted and closed the account weeks ago. She wrote, "You can't just erase our memories. Those 4 years meant something." I replied, "You're right, they taught me exactly what I don't want in a partner. Thanks for the lesson." Some mutual friends think I'm too cold, but let's be real, this wasn't a moment of weakness. It was a carefully made choice to keep me as a backup while she tested her options. And here's the biggest takeaway. Sometimes what feels like the worst betrayal turns out to be your greatest blessing. Had Tessa not revealed her true nature, I might have married her, only to find out years later, possibly with kids in the mix. Instead, I'm in a new city with a great career, new friendships, and a brighter outlook than ever. The sting of betrayal has been replaced with gratitude for dodging a bullet. And for anyone reading this who might be in a similar spot, listen closely. When someone shows you who they really are, believe it the first time. Don't waste your life being someone's backup plan. Walk away and build something better for yourself. That's it for me. This chapter is officially closed, and I couldn't be more excited about the next one. Thank you all for the support along the way. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to leave a comment, hit subscribe, follow for more, and turn on the bell icon so you never miss the next one.